Okay, so we're going to make a short video here of how to actually install Bilstein shocks on a 4th generation Camaro. A lot of people have arguments saying that it's not a strut, it's a spring over, coil over assembly, or whatever. But in order to get the Bilstein shocks on right here, comes this nice little bump stop piece that goes across the top. In order to get this baby on, you have to reuse some of the original factory parts. So when you take the old one apart, you have to make sure not to damage it if at all possible. And now I did damage the first one, and as you can see right there, I no longer have a dust boot, but I got a fix for that, so no big deal. I did have to buy new strut mounts up top. So for all you people who want to complain and bitch and say that there's no such thing as a strut on a Camaro, well, why they in the book it calls it a strut mount. That's what this piece right here is. You have the isolator up top. It's rusted in place. I let it soak all night long on PB juice. I mean, I filled this thing completely full and just let it soak, and it won't come off. So first thing we're going to do is compress the spring. I've already done that. I took the tension off so we can roll it, rotate it just slightly. And whenever you grab a hold of it with the spring compressors for the very first time, don't grab anywhere near this lip on this plastic dust boot, because you got to reuse this. You also have to reuse the bump stop that's underneath this. The Bilstein shocks come with no good instructions. So far, I've Googled it. I've looked everywhere on the internet. I've looked all over YouTube. Can't find anybody that has made any good videos or any good instructions on how to swap these out. But you have to take all this off the top in order to get your bottom part off that hold your spring perch. So first thing you do, put your spring compressors on. Remember, don't get the bottom one too close to this spring perch, or you'll have to disconnect the entire rod when you take it apart to get this piece out, and then you'll have to beat it out with a hammer. And well, let's just be honest. These spring compressors right here, they're not the best, but I think I paid about $40 for them. Probably got ripped off, some of y'all say. But they do the trick. They're heavy duty. They work. I mean, they've been sitting out here all night long under tension. When you put them on, stay down away from this line on the dust boot, or you will tear the dust boot with the spring compressor. And you'll notice that the springs are really close together right here. That's fine. That's okay, as long as you got enough slack to where you can take that nut off the top. And since it's cut, or since it's rusted, we have to cut it off. Therefore, we're going to use an air chisel. I'm going to cut the nut. Do not damage the isolator, or some people call it a bellow. And once I have that off, I get the nut off, get this spring or the strut mount boot off. Then everything will just slide right off. And probably not, because it's rusted together. So what you'll have to do in order to get it up to where you can see what you're working on and not cut the wrong thing, loosen the spring compressor up and let the spring force this strut boot up. It'll actually do it. It's not going to hurt anything. You'll have to retighten these to put the new stuff back together, but you have to reuse the bump stop that's underneath the dust boot. It doesn't matter about the dust boot itself. But this one's in pristine condition. I see no reason to damage it. So I did damage the first one, and as you can see right here, here's the first one. And what I mean by damage is, it's just, see right there, see that tear? Nobody wants that shit on their car. I don't. So, live and learn. Don't make the same mistake twice. But I've got a fix for it. I got another one of these that a buddy of mine has got that's not been boogered up at the top. And in order to get it on, I got a plan. And depending on how it turns out, I'll make a video and we'll see. Anyway, the next time that I make a video, I'll have the top part off, the spring off, and show you guys what it looks like.